Well, the last debate is over, and probably the election and the Republic and all our hopes and dreams. So as an official political commentator licensed to look into the future, it's time for me to examine what is likely to happen next. In the event that Hillary Clinton wins the presidency while Republicans hold on to majorities in the House and Senate, then it seems probable that the congressional investigations will deepen into Clinton's misuse of classified information, her pay-for-play corruption, and her various acts of perjury. Desperate to protect their Democrat cronies, the mainstream media will then attempt to discredit the investigators by unearthing their personal secrets, whereupon they'll accidentally stumble upon the fact that Utah Congresswoman Mia Love has never appeared simultaneously with North Korean dictator Kim Jong-un. When the story appears in the Provost Gazette and Penny Saver, Congresswoman Love will rip off her full-face mask on the floor of the House and reveal herself to be, in fact, a fat-faced Asian lunatic who will start shrieking in incomprehensible Korean as a signal for the Norks to unleash a series of nuclear attacks on the makers of the Seth Rogen comedy The Interview, thus destroying civilization, and issuing in a period of savagery during which small bands of violent survivors will war over Earth's remaining resources by engaging in death races across a now-wasted landscape, trying to slaughter one another while driving jerry-rigged go-karts with flamethrowers mounted on their frames. Those who lose the death races will be used as human sacrifices to appease the wrath of Glenn Beck, who will have been made emperor by virtue of being the only person who remembered to buy gold. Beck will slowly be driven insane by the knowledge that every one of his most catastrophic predictions has actually come true, and he'll make his way into an American missile silo where he'll guess that the launch sequence is the 6 digits created when Joe Biden's IQ is added to his zip code, thus setting off the missiles and initiating a nuclear winter that will render Earth uninhabitable for 1,000 years. At this point, a crippled but still breathing Kim Jong-un will drag himself out of his underground bunker, still wearing his Mia Love skirt suit, for some reason, only to discover that the lone sign of human life remaining is a half-buried TV set on which the Seth Rogen sex scene from The Interview is playing on an endless loop. Due to a bizarre mutation caused by exposure to radiation, Kim Jong-un will find himself unable to die and will be forced to watch the scene for the next 10 millennia until a living creature evolves who is complex enough to turn off the TV and then devour the North Korean dictator, who at that point will be grateful for the agonizing end of his existence, which by extension will be the end of all human life forever. In the event Hillary Clinton wins the presidency and the Democrats take over Congress, then we're totally screwed. Trigger warning. I'm Andrew Klavan, and this is The Andrew Klavan Show.
I feel hunky-dunky, life is tickety-boo. Birds are winging, also singing hunky-dunky-doo. Ship-shaped, ipsy-topsy, the world is zippity-zing. It's a wonderful day, hurrah, hooray! It makes me want to sing. Oh, hurrah, hooray! Oh, hooray, hurrah!
So that opening was just like a Ben Shapiro show on a typical day, right? I think the openings this week have been terrific. Who writes those? Oh, I write it. Never mind. I'm not allowed to say it. Speaking of Ben Shapiro, I think we're giving away his novel, True Allegiance, if you subscribe. So you should get that. I read it. It's like his show turned into a novel. It's like every worst case scenario comes true. It's really entertaining. So that's good stuff. All right. The last Andrew Klavan show before the Klavanless weekend begins, so let's get some good stuff out of it. The debate last night, who won? Obviously, Chris Wallace. I mean, there were people tweeting. I think I was one of them. There were people tweeting that he should be running for president. But just to be semi-serious for a moment, it indicated something that I've been saying for years to my liberal friends, my few remaining liberal friends who will speak to me, that the Fox News, represented by Chris Wallace and Bret Baier, is the only good news source on television. Not one of the best. It is the only good news source on television. And the reason it's so painful to watch all the things that are tearing the place apart, Hannity going so far into the tank for Trump, and the sex scandals and all this stuff, is because if you want to get your news on television, watching Bret Baier during the week and watching Chris Wallace on Sunday is the only way you're going to get a fair and balanced report because they actually live out the meaning of the Fox News creed. And in a way, it's kind of a shame. I mean, all conservative outlets do this. They either play so high that nobody but intellectuals can get to them, which there's a place for that, the national reviews and all that, and the City Journal and all these things. Or they play so low that they discredit the rest of the good things that they do. So you have guys like Bill O'Reilly and Sean Hannity who are doing a good job for their audience, but it's a different audience than the audience that might well turn in Bret Baier and say, oh yeah, that was a fair news program. That was pretty good. I mean, even liberal reporters have looked at this and said that. So as you were watching Chris Wallace, he made Lester Holt, Martha Raddatz, and Anderson Cooper look like children. They looked like children. When you compare them to Chris Wallace, he looked like a grown-up in a suit and tie who has a job as a journalist, as opposed to Anderson Cooper, Martha Raddatz, and Lester Holt, who looked like children throwing vegetables at people they didn't like. That's what they looked like. They looked like little kids going, we don't like you, Donald Trump, we don't like you. That's what he made them look like. And that's what they are. That's what they are. And of course, as far as the debate, in my opinion, Trump crushed her. I mean, I hate both these people, so I have a pretty fair and balanced. Trump crushed her on he's a lousy debater. Trump is a lousy debater. He cannot keep a thought in his head, and he can't follow an argument to its conclusion, and that makes it hard for him to actually put her away in the way a good debater can put her away. I'm not even a debate fan because I don't care about winning and losing in an argument. I just want to know what the truth is, so it makes you a bad debater because some people can make bad arguments really well. But I just thought Trump crushed her, and she just lied and lied and lied. Now, the mainstream media is spinning this because it was such a victory for Trump, such a total victory for Trump, that the mainstream media is spinning this on one thing. Trump was asked if he would abide by the results of the election, and here was his response. There it is.
I want to ask you here on the stage tonight, do you make the same commitment that you will absolutely, sir, that you will absolutely accept the result of this election?
I will look at it at the time. I'm not looking at anything now. I'll look at it at the time. What I've seen is so bad. First of all, the media is so dishonest and so corrupt, and the pile-on is so amazing. The New York Times, they actually wrote an article about it, that they don't even care. It's so dishonest, and they've poisoned the minds of the voters. But unfortunately for them, I think the voters are seeing through it. I think they're going to see through it. We'll find out on November 8th, but I think they're going to see through it.
But, sir,
excuse me, Chris, if you look at your voter rolls, you will see millions of people that are registered to vote. Millions. This isn't coming from me. This is coming from Pew Report and other places. Millions of people that are registered to vote that shouldn't be registered to vote. So let me just give you one other thing. So I talk about the corrupt media. I talk about the millions of people. Tell you one other thing. She shouldn't be allowed to run. She's guilty of a very, very serious crime. She should not be allowed to run. And just in that respect, I say it's rigged because she should never have been allowed to run for the presidency based on what she did with emails and so many other things.
Well, everybody, what a gaffe, what a terrible, the Republic depends on this. But as I said this yesterday, I've been trying to say this all week, once you use the IRS to silence Republicans, once you use the media to silence conservatives, once you use the Justice Department to get your candidate off on what are obviously crimes that are indictable crimes, once you prevent cleaning up the voter rolls and make a racial issue out of whether people should have to show a simple identification in order to vote, you can't then blame Trump for undermining the democratic process. I mean, maybe Trump is out of control. Maybe he's a loose cannon. He's certainly doing it for selfish reasons. We were just talking to Jeremy Boring, the God King of the Daily Wire, backstage, and he was putting forward the idea that maybe what he's doing here is launching his media empire, the Trump network. He's going to say, yeah, the media's so rigged, but now you can listen to the Trump network. Maybe so. Maybe he's doing it for all the wrong reasons. But what gutted people's faith in our governing system and our electoral system is not Donald Trump. He's just the symptom. He's just the voice of the anger that people feel for this corrupt woman who lies and lies and lies and then gets a pass and becomes the nominee. The Democrats don't even fight about this. On our side, we're all fighting. Shapiro is wrestling with this one and that. Everybody's fighting each other because we know we've got this bad guy. They've got this bad girl. And it's like, it's good. I like it. This is just a typical Democrat. This is the way we like it. And now let's go on from the stuff that the media is trying to get everybody to look at and look at some of the stuff, the lies this woman told, that she tells without thinking, because Wallace kept it on the issues. That was the best thing about him. He just, he went into the stuff about the women and the emails and all that stuff. But basically, the media are always trying to make every election a battle between Democrat good and Republican evil, which is for children. They are children. These are children. The Martha Raditzes, the Anderson Coopers, these are children trying to make a fairy tale narrative. It's always about the policies, because none of these people is like perfect or any good, but it's always about the policy. So he talked about the Supreme Court. Let's listen to Hillary on the court.
But I feel that at this point in our country's history, it is important that we not reverse marriage equality, that we not reverse Roe v. Wade, that we stand up against Citizens United, we stand up for the rights of people in the workplace, that we stand up and basically say the Supreme Court should represent all of us. That's how I see the court, and the kind of people that I would be looking to nominate to the court would be in the great tradition of standing up to the powerful, standing up on behalf of our rights as Americans. And I look forward to having that opportunity. I would hope that the Senate would do its job and confirm the nominee that President Obama has sent to them. That's the way the Constitution fundamentally should operate. The president nominates, and then the Senate advises and consents or not, but they go forward with the process.
Okay, so now Trump goes after her, and he goes after her first on the Second Amendment, which apparently, according to Wallace, was one of the questions people were most interested in. And he pointed out that she got angry at the court's Heller decision. She said she disagreed with it. She did. And here is her response on Heller.
You mentioned the Heller decision, and what I was saying that you referenced, Chris, was that I disagreed with the way the court applied the Second Amendment in that case, because what the District of Columbia was trying to do was to protect toddlers from guns. And so they wanted people with guns to safely store them. And the court didn't accept that reasonable regulation, but they've accepted many others. So I see no conflict between saving people's lives and defending the Second Amendment.
Hank. Total lie. Total lie. She went on and on about toddlers and the safety of toddlers. And toddlers, we've got to keep our there are no toddlers in that. The word toddler doesn't appear for the simple reason that it wasn't about toddlers. I mean, I feel that this is why Hillary Clinton is for partial birth abortion, because once those babies get out, they start running around, you have to shoot them, so she doesn't, but she wants to protect the babies after they're born, or at least a few years after they're born. She said, it had nothing to do with this. A special cop in Washington, D.C. The problem in Washington, D.C. is you weren't allowed to carry an unregistered firearm, but they prohibited registering a handgun. So essentially, they made it impossible to keep a handgun. And this special cop wanted to not just keep, he was allowed to carry the handgun, he had a special permit to carry the handgun, but he wanted to keep it at home for home defense. And they wouldn't let him do it. And what Heller said was, what the Supreme Court said is, when they confirmed, as they have confirmed again and again and again, that the right to bear arms is an individual right. It doesn't just mean a militia can bear arms. It means you can bear arms. So when Hillary was disagreeing, what she's saying is, yes, she's in favor of the Second Amendment as long as it doesn't allow you to have a gun. That's what she's saying. It's like, yeah, I'm in favor of the right to bear arms as long as you don't have the right to bear arms. That's what she's saying. Next lie, abortion. They go on from this to abortion. And this was one of Trump's better moments, because he started talking about the nightmare that is partial birth abortion. And one of the things you hear about from abortion people is they're always arguing about language. Because if you say things the way they are, if you show people what an abortion is and how an abortion is done, at any level, if you show people what a 20-week-old fetus looks like, a baby looks like, people will not go for it. So they don't want to show you the truth. They don't look, don't hear, don't talk. We're going to have to stop for a minute to say goodbye to our friends on Facebook and YouTube, but come over to the Daily Wire and subscribe for a lousy $8. You get me, you get Ben, it's just a party over here. So come on over.